it out so you will not be distracted with
Yes,
your own image. Anyway, the yeah, it's recording. Okay, good.
All right. Moving right along. Maybe you want to close it.
Oh, I should like.
No, that won't interfere.
No, it's not.
Okay,
It's not.
all right. Very good.
So I'm planning to write this article for this Spanish newspaper.
Mhm.
Still, well, I have to. There are two options to publish it in two different ones. So I was thinking to first asking you if you had any case more located in Spain. So some Spaniards that ask you to enter in the prize.
We don't sort people out by nationality or language. Although we get them from all over the world. We've had them from India, from Australia, from everywhere all over the world. From China, particularly, we have a lot of applicants from China. And we don't understand them very well, but we do the best we can. But yes, we've had them from all over the world, every different ethnic group, every culture, every language. And they usually have a very hard time saying the first thing, which is what they can do, with what accuracy, and with under what conditions, you see. Now, those are three simple things. But they don't seem to be able to answer that. They say, oh, I get impressions about things.
Yeah.
That's not saying anything. I get impressions about things too. When a man walks up to me in public and punches me in the nose, I know he doesn't like me. You see, I get impressions right away. But that's not supernatural. So people don't know how to make the statements. They don't know. They're not thinking very well about what they really think they can do. But we get them in every different culture, and we have we ask that it be sent to us in English so that we don't have to hire translation services. Sometimes they do it through the computer, try to translate it through the computer. Oh my, those systems are so bad. You can't understand what they were trying to say at all.
And probably they wrote already bad, probably many that could be right and bad originally in the original language.
Oh yes.
And
much
then,
better,
then still translate words. So you said that perhaps China is the country that more people, apart of America, suppose, so that more people were challenged for the
we're making applications.
Yeah, making applications.
Well, not more people. You see, you've got to take an overview of this whole thing. The different subjects that people offer to us, you would think they would be ESP or predicting the future or something like that. But most of them are claims of dowsing. That is, with a forked stick to find water or gold or oil or lost children or lost dogs or whatever. They think they can do this sort of thing. And that is the most common. That's a good 80%. Believe it or not, of the claims are people who think they can find things with a forked stick or with a pencil or whatever. And I understand that because this depends on the ideomotor reaction. That means that you are actually doing it yourself, but you're not conscious of that. And people say, no, I'm not doing this, I'm not, but they are doing it, and they're just not aware of it. It's a psychological reaction that many people have that weakness, and they fall for that. That's why it's so compelling. They say, no, this is a power that works outside of my body. I'm not doing this. But actually they are.
And, well, I have my own answers, but I suppose they will be similar to yours. But so why they believe they are finding things?
Well, because they remember when it succeeds, and they forget when it doesn't. It's just like dreams. Now, the average person has anywhere from 10 to 30 dreams every night that they go to sleep. But they wake up in the morning not having thought about them at all. But if later on in the day something should occur, like a car crash or something like that, they say, I dreamt about a car crash last night. But if you ask them the following day, they wouldn't remember for 2 days ago that they dreamt about a car crash. But if it's recent in their memory, as a dream, they say, I dreamt about a car crash just last night. And then, to them, that seems significant. But they dream about 30 different things in a night. and they forget all of those. So people have this reinforcement thing that works on them automatically, and they aren't aware of it. When they're right, or when it coincides with reality, they tend to remember that, and they will tell you about it. But if they dreamt about having a car crash last night and there's no car crash, they don't come to you and say, last night I dreamt about a car crash and there was no car crash. They don't tell you that because it doesn't fulfill their expectations, you see. So people are very selective that way. That's the big problem.
And what happened when they when they a challenge for the prize and they enter to the test?
Well, now we have to take this step by step, because a good, I would say, 85% of the people who first make application, they read out the application, and they sign it. First of all, most of those don't do it properly. They don't ask. They don't tell us what we asked for. We want it in 2 paragraphs, and they will send us. I could show you some of the applications. 30 pages of close handwriting on both sides of the paper in writing that you can't read at all. And they send us we send it back. We say, we can't read this. Type it out, you see. And then they send us this thing this thick. This kind of thing, telling us what they can do. 2 paragraphs should be able to say, I can jump out the window and fly by flapping my arms. Hey, there we got a claim, you see. That was 1 or 2 sentences. So that we can handle. But they can't do that. And sometimes, one fellow we went through 4.5 years, and this is a double PhD in California. We went through 4.5 years of negotiating with him back and forth by mail and by email and by phone calls, till he finally came down to what he could do under what circumstances with what accuracy. And he had, and we agreed on the targets and all of the protocol, the whole thing. And then he changed his email address and his telephone number, and we haven't heard from him since. For 4.5 years of back and forth, and then he dropped out.
Because I wanted to ask you, I suppose none of these people really tested themselves.
No, we always say at the end of the offer, it says, please test yourself under double-blind conditions, using somebody else as an agent to see whether you really have the power. And every one of them, without exception, says, I don't have to do that because I know I have the power. And they will not follow that simple instruction, which would save them a great deal of embarrassment. But they don't do it because they're sure that they have the power. And every last one of them, again, without exception, says, now I do have the power. The rest of the people are fakes. I'm the one who has the power. I know I can do this sort of thing. I'm the one who's going to win the $1 million prize. But we just don't pay any attention to that, so that's all talk. But that they all say that each and every one of them that makes application is absolutely certain. But then a good 85% of them we never hear from again after they've sent us the application, and we've sent them some questions about it to get it tightened down as to what they can do and such. But then we never hear from them again. Now, if they actually continue to apply and they fulfill all the obligations and the needs that we have, we do the preliminary test. There are 2 parts to the test. The preliminary test is just odds of 1,000 to 1 against chance, for example. You see, generally it can be 1 to 800 or 1 to 3,000 or whatever, but it's in that range. If we were to do a formal test, which would follow that, and we have never done a formal test because no one has ever passed the preliminary test, you see, and the rules have to be written out in such a way that we know after we've finished the preliminary test, yes or no, whether they passed the test. There's no voting on it, there's no talking about it or anything. You either got the right number or you didn't get the right number.
How many preliminary tests have you done?
We've done over 400.
Over 400.
But you see, it's hard to get to that point. But of those that where we did get to that point, we have done, I think it's 430, the latest figure, 430. And but now we tell them you can reapply again in 12 months, because otherwise they would reapply immediately. 10 minutes from now, they do it again, you see, and we'd never get away from them because they fail, and we have no life. But no one has ever reapplied. They will always end up saying, "Oh, I do have the power, all right. Well, reapply." Yes, in a year, but then we never hear from. And we write them at the end of every year, and we say, "Are you prepared to reapply?" Not only do they say no, they don't respond at all.
So
they ignore it.
Why they believe they still have power after this day?
Because their friends tell them, "Oh, you had the power." "Oh, that was exactly what I was thinking." They get positive feedback, you see, from people, and they also select the feedback. If someone says, "No, you're absolutely wrong," they, "Well, you have a negative attitude," and they don't remember that. See, they don't include that at all. It's only people who agree with them that they remember, and that's what encourages them. They're very selective that way. And the other thing is that many of them immediately say, "Oh, there is no $1 million. There was never any $1 million. It was all a lie." But we have, as a matter of fact, I will get you the proof. I will get it for you right now. It's in a drawer sitting right here. One moment. We used to have the money with Goldman Sachs. We now have with Evercore, because Goldman Sachs has not been very dependable lately. You may have noticed. But you see, this is the latest one that we've. I'll give you a copy of this.
Okay,
of
good.
course, yes.
Anyway, what's not happening with the camera? Yes.
What do you have?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Sony. So
Yeah, I have. Now, okay, now I'm taking the camera.
you got it.
I got picture. Why the flash is not working? What?
The flash is not working. Oh.
The later will make the pictures better.
All right. Okay. Well, it doesn't really need flash. Wait, have I got all the lights up? I have to make sure all the lights are on. Oh, there, that's much better. Oh, it's going to be a nice day after all. Yes. But anyway, you see, we make out every few months we get a report from them as to how the money has been invested and what the total is. The total currently here is $1,137,082.32, just in case you were wondering. And that's with the interest that it earns. And sometimes we reach into that amount of money to help the foundation if we have special projects. But it's always a minimum of $1 million. So you can have that copy if you'd like. So they have access to this. We say right on the webpage, if you doubt that the money exists, it's called the James Randi Educational Foundation Challenge, something it says on there. It's specifically for that purpose. Now, we do get interest on it, as you see. We earn interest on it, but it's specifically for that purpose. And we are legally committed. We're not just ethically committed at all, because we've made this statement all over the world, on the internet, in every one of my books, in all of my interviews and such. I've stated this, so that if we were to back away from it and say, "No, we won't give you the $1 million," we could be sued right up to here. And they would certainly win.
One of the questions I had, it's this challenge will be forever or has an end?
Well, I don't know. I won't be around forever, but
no, I have. Anyway, did you think about this after?
I have provided in my will that for 10 years after my death, that the prize money will be offered, and this amount will remain intact. So at least for 10 years after my death. I can't do anything about it after that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I meant to mention to you, this offer, they can obtain proof by a phone call, by email, by anybody, a letter, anything, a fax even. They can ask for this. No person has ever asked to see the evidence. Now, we offer to send it to them, and they don't respond. They don't want to know that the prize is actually there. They would rather say, "Oh, there's no money, that's all a magician's trick. No, he hasn't got that money. No." They like to say that because then they don't have to answer the challenge, you see.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
I'm going to be leaving in about an hour.
Yes.
Is that okay?
For what? Oh.
Because I drove you.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Sure. I believe in that. Sure. I'll do it. Yeah. I didn't bring my car along today, so
okay.
I depend on him.
Okay, understand. So, what is the reaction of the people when they don't pass the test? So I suppose they are very confident at the beginning. And
They're always astonished.
Mhm.
Really? And of course, we remember we have witnesses and we have videotape.
Mhm.
We videotape each other. Now, we don't do them here
Yeah.
because the vast majority are done in their own countries.
Mhm.
But we have skeptical groups in the different countries that will cooperate with us, and they conduct the test there because they all say, "Oh, I haven't got the money to come to Fort Lauderdale."
Mhm.
But it says right there, you don't have to come to Fort Lauderdale.
Mhm.
We can have somebody do it as long as you agree that these are the right people to do it, and that they're going to be fair and they're going to be honest with you and such. And they have to sign papers saying they're satisfied with this arrangement.
Mhm.
But it's always astonishment. Wow, I wonder how that happened. It's always been successful before, which is not necessarily true, as we've discussed already,
Yeah. Mhm.
because they select only when it does work, you see. And of course, usually, within a week or two, we get a letter from them saying, "Oh, now I know why it failed. It was because Jupiter was in Sagittarius or something like this, you see." And that's a very bad time.
No one accused you to cheat the test.
Well, they can't because it's so open.
Yeah.
You see, everything is wide open,
Mhm.
and they can ask questions about it, and they have to sign a document in advance saying everything is perfectly fair, everything is, I agree with everything, there's no problem.
So they have
with it.
they have people to test also.
That's right,
Yeah.
yes.
So
That,
and
make sure of that.
So in the case of coming back to the first question, in the case of Spain, how someone could apply to make a test, for example, if there would be a way. I mean, through internet. But then, do you have anyone in Spain or in Europe, France? Some
Yes,
group?
now in Pamplona we have Javier, I can't think of his name now, the head of the big planetarium in Pamplona.
Pamplona, Spain. Okay.
He's with the skeptics group over there. They're very active, and I can get volunteers in Spain immediately. Yes.
Okay, if you could give me later some address or web address to contact them.
Okay.
So
I'll do that for you.
So it would be good to write it
Sure.
in the article. So I don't know. Well, I suppose you don't remember any Spanish case in the tale.
Not specifically Spanish.
No,
No, I don't.
Which would be the European, the most the biggest challenge in Europe, if there were any?
Well, it's not. It's pretty well all over the world, you
Yeah.
know. It's well. Now I tell you what happens though. That's interesting. I'm glad you asked that because I will sometimes the mailman comes in with a stack of letters from Hungary, for example. All on one day, and I look, and then I find out that something ran in the Hungarian newspaper.
Okay.
You see, mentioning the $1 million prize this man will give to anybody who has such power.
Perhaps you will have
And
a lot of
all the applications come in on one day, all from Hungary. Yes,
okay.
and I just get a hold of my friend Gabor
Yeah.
in Hungary there, and I send all this to him. Lots of luck, you know. And he has to go through all that, and they do it very happily, of course, because they want to get involved. And that's very good. But it's very sporadic, you know, from different parts of the world. Suddenly, boom, the country lights up with all kinds of mail coming in. And the email, oh, my goodness. We can get up to 9,000 hits in a day sometimes internationally on our webpage if something happens that's in the news. And I just see this stuff going across the screen. How am I going to ever answer all this? But we do. We do. Everybody receives a response.
And another question would be: was Uri Geller the biggest charlatan you debunked? Or
What's the name?
Yuri Geller.
Yuri Geller.
Oh, I remember him. He has never responded to the challenge.
Okay.
No, he says he's already proven it to everybody. Well, not to me, and if he proves it to me, hey, he doesn't have to prove it to me. He just has to prove it
He still
to the independent people who we
still
would
claims.
assign to it. Well, no. You see, he's Geller is a specific case. He is now saying that he doesn't want to be known as a psychic.
Okay.
When they call him a psychic, he says, "No, I'm a mystifier." What does that mean? You're a magician? Oh, no, I'm a mystifier. It doesn't mean anything. This is just semantics that he's playing with. But what he's trying to do is, remember, he has put a hook in his own mouth, and it's in there very firmly, and he's trying to get rid of it now and still smile at the same time, and he can't do that. He can't get off the hook that he has impaled in his mouth, which says he's a psychic, because I have a videotape which is very funny to watch, because it has him saying, I'm not a fake. No, I don't know how to do tricks. This is real. No, these are not tricks. No, I don't do tricks. No, this is real, the real thing. The scientists say I'm real, and I know I'm real. You know, endlessly. A whole videotape of him saying things like this. He has always insisted that he doesn't do tricks, that he doesn't know how to do tricks, that it's all the real thing. Now, he wants to turn around in his tracks, you see, and become an entertainer, perhaps. But he can't do that. Because if Geller were to say, no, it's all them tricks, you see, I fooled everybody, he would have governments, he would have universities, he would have business firms, he would have associations of all kinds, all over the world, bringing legal action against him because they spent millions of dollars to study the so-called Geller effect. And it's all a lie. Now, he would have to admit, yes, it's a lie. You lied to all these people? Yes, I lied to all these people. He can't say that.
So which was the Geller effect?
Just the Geller effect of spoons bending when you think about them and all that sort of thing, you see.
I read in Wikipedia that, for example, to the bank Houdini, you enter in the Guinness Records to stay in 1 hour 45 minutes.
Yes, it's no longer in the Guinness Book of Records because the McWhirter twins, well, there's only one of them alive now, because of the death of the other twin, because he was assassinated, this is the long story, they took out all mentions of dangerous things. Of what they consider to be dangerous things. They don't want people trying to but it wasn't, what I did was not dangerous at all. I was ready to be rescued any moment at all. I take no chances. I'm a devout coward, you see, so I don't take any chances on these things. But yes, I had the record. Houdini, pardon me, established it, hour and 44, I don't recall.
No, his 44 was yours. I think he's 26, I think, remember.
Maybe an hour and 26 or something like that, But remember, he was a much older man. He was twice my age at the time that he did it. And so I was a much younger man, and I used a coffin of exactly the same size, exactly the same shape and size, and the way it was fixed up.
So which was the trick? Just to be very relaxed?
No, just very relaxed, that's all. I didn't eat anything for 24 hours before, so I didn't have to work on digesting food and things like that. I used good common sense, and I kept my breathing down very shallow. At the end of it, I was trying to get oxygen. I was a little desperate in the last few minutes, and when they opened that coffin, oh, hello. Welcome to the real world again.
It wasn't anything paranormal.
No, nothing like that. I was just trying to, I was really doing it out of respect for Houdini, because he had established this record. And I don't know about his jailbreaks, I did 22 jailbreaks in my career as an escape artist. And by a jailbreak, I don't mean just a demonstration. I mean stripped to the skin, put in handcuffs and leg irons or whatever they wanted to put on me, locked in the cell, and they walk away. And I had to get out, and I did it 22 times all around the world.
And this was with some trick?
Well, there might be some subterfuge, let's say, a little bit of deception there. But I know how to manage locks. That's, as a matter of fact, no, I won't get into that, but I'll tell you afterwards. The camera's not on. Yes, no, I'm very good at picking locks and such. But all the jail locks are rather formidable things. They're not very simple locks.
So, I wanted to ask you to also, for the article, to write it, to try to give more importance to be published. I don't know if there is any recent commemoration or anniversary or important event that happened recently. I was thinking perhaps to show like it's almost 15 years that it's 1 million. The price is of $1 million.
Yes, I've forgotten the exact.
It was 1996, but the month, do you remember?
No, I don't. I could find out for you.
But well,
I'll
we
do what I
could
can.
say in the
Yeah.
in the
There-
newspaper would be almost 15 years.
Yes. Well, I must tell you too. There was a time a few years ago when I said it was coming to a close
Yeah, I remember.
because it was using too much time. Everybody in the office was writing letters to these crazy people all over the world who couldn't understand what we were asking for. A definitive statement, a couple of paragraphs. They didn't understand that we were constantly answering mail on this. I think it was taking too much time, and the press was not that excited about it. $1 million is not $1 million anymore. You need more than that, I guess. You need to agree to shoot Sophia Loren or something like that to win a prize, but and to get attention, I should say. So we were going to terminate it because there was not that much interest in it. There weren't that many applicants, and the press was not that interested in it. But then, of course, all the woo-woos all over the world, they all said, he's afraid, you see, because he knows I've got the power. So we said, okay, the challenge is back on again. And we announced that on the webpage, but I still get mail almost every day saying, now that the challenge is finished. But we had about 30 notices up on Swift on our webpage saying, no, it's not finished. It's still going ahead. It never stopped. And it will go on, as I say, for 10 years after my death.
And I read also on your website that now you ask the people to have some media.
Yes. We required two things in order to cut down the amount of work that we had to do on this sort of thing. But they had to have a media presence. If they had ever been on any television program or mentioned in the newspaper, anything like that mentioned their so-called magic powers, you see. And they had to have at least one academic who would write a letter saying that he or she had witnessed this sort of thing. But we've now decided that we're going to withdraw that because we had so many complaints on it. They say, well, I can't get into the newspapers and I can't, and it's not really fair. It's a legitimate complaint, so we have to answer to that. I'm trying to be perfectly fair. People still can apply, even if they don't have a media presence or have an academic that will.
Anyway, I was reading also in your information that not many normally who applies is always low, not the big ones.
No, the big ones never apply. No. I'll give you John Edward, for example. You know who John Edward is?
Yeah, I read about him.
He's very big in this country and in Australia, very, very big. He talks to dead people, right? Doesn't talk to living people, just dead people. But when we made a specific challenge to him because he had a very high profile, you see, and he was making millions here in this country with a program every day, a daily program. Really, that's astonishing. And he didn't do anything except the same old cold reading stunt that they all do. He wasn't exceptionally good at it. But he had this program for a while, and then he went to Australia to do the same thing. And we issued a specific challenge to him. And he had his press agent answer us. He didn't answer us. He's too special, you see. He doesn't answer letters. So he had his press agent, and the letter said this. Date at the top, then, Dear Sir, John Edward does not respond to criticism. Yours truly, and he signed his name. That's a really wimpy way to get out of it, you know, instead of at least answering us intelligibly. But John Edward does not respond to criticism. I wish I could say that to everybody.
People could say that you destroy his credibility.
No.
He still have a lot of credibility.
Yes. Oh, yes. There are lots of people out there who still fall for this. They're not discerning. Now, the other thing about that, of course, is something else that you should know. We've had many people come right here to this very room, as a matter of fact, and talk to me on the phone and meet me at lectures and whatnot, who have come up against John Edward by actually going to his broadcast, and they tell me how it happens. It's very interesting. They get them all in one hotel, or they're all staying. So they get into conversations with one another, and there's always a young couple wandering around. Are you going to be talking to John Edward today on the program? Oh, really? What are you going to ask him? And they're getting information, you see. And I believe that goes back to John Edward, you see. So it's not a cold reading necessarily. It's a warm reading, at least, if not a hot reading. And the funny thing is that the young couple always go with them in the bus that takes them to the studio. And when they get off at the studio, the young couple disappears. We don't know where they go. And they're taken to a waiting room where they wait for an hour to an hour and a half before they're let into the studio. And they look around and they don't see the young couple there anymore. I'm sure that you know what's happening. Of course, that information is being transferred across. See, so when John Edward walks out there, sometimes he knows a little bit more than we might suspect that he knows. And there is one beautiful case that is going into my next book that is interesting. This man said that he and his wife were approached by this young couple. They got into a conversation with them, and they talked with them. They were very open with them. They didn't suspect anything wrong. And at one point, I've forgotten which way it is now. I have to look up the record, the letter on it. He said, John Edward would convince me if he could tell me that my mother's pet name, the pet name that everybody called my mother was Flossie or something like that. I've forgotten exactly what it was. That would mean that only she would know that, you see. And so that was what they went into the studio with. And the first thing you know, John Edward looks around and he points to him and says, "Stand up, sir, you said something about so-and-so. What does Flossie mean to you?" And he looked astonished. He said, "Oh, that was my mother's pet name with her friends. Yes, that's what she's telling me, you see." And as soon as he sat down, his wife turned to him and said, "You got that all wrong. That was my mother's pet name, not yours." And he said, "Oh," so the spirits must have been telling him the wrong information, you see. But so there were interesting things like that happened that show that there are some little subterfuges going on there.
Just also you say many times, like many of the claimers are a bit mentally ill, that sometimes this can be a bit sad.
Yes. I have always given them advice that they need psychiatric help. And of course they get very angry at that. And I simply put them on my block list because I don't want to do. I can't spend all day. They send me letters and emails that go on and on and on because they're paranoid in many cases and they're psychiatrically disturbed and they really need help that way. And if I can get a general address for them, I write to anybody else at that address and say I suggest that this person should seek psychiatric help.
Someone told me about the case of Mexican man coming with an empty box.
An empty suitcase.
Yeah. A suitcase that he could...
He showed up right at the front door there one Monday morning, out of nowhere, with an empty suitcase. Big old cheap suitcase, all beaten up and everything. And he said that he was here for the $1 million. And I said, well, you have to fill out the application. So I had my friend Jose, who you just saw there. He speaks fluent Spanish, so he translated for me. And the fellow said, "Oh, yes, because I glow in the dark. You can see me in the dark." So, okay, now these doors are light tight, you see, so we closed the doors. And where are you? We can't see you see. And we had a couple of people from outside come in and see if they could see him. They couldn't see him either. He turned on the lights and he said, "Well, there's something wrong. I always glow in the dark, you see. I don't know what's wrong." So he just picked up the suitcase and went out, and we never saw him again. Never learned his name even. He just walked off down the street with his suitcase, the poor man. He had come all the way from Mexico with this suitcase to put the money in it. There are weird people out there, and we get a lot of them right here, I can assure you.
I can understand. So, I think you explained quite a lot of all I needed to explain. So,
how do you decide what is a paranormal?
Well, yeah,
some things might actually have a scientific
that's a good question. That's a good question. You should have asked that.
Sorry.
All right, paranormal.
Good that I'm with that.
Now, dictionaries don't define words. Dictionaries give you common usage.
Exactly.
But what appears in Webster under paranormal is something that does occur, but for which science has no explanation. Now, Sophia Loren would be a good example of that. That's impossible. That's not oil of Olay, you see. That's got to be witchcraft. But nonetheless, aside from Sophia Loren, that would define paranormal pretty well, I think. And so, if there is no known explanation for it, if it can be shown to be true, and it is repeatable and whatnot, okay, then it exists. But if science has no explanation for it whatsoever, that would be considered paranormal, or, if you will, supernatural.
But how you would separate that from, I don't know, quantic, where the investigation of science still is going on, and there are happening things that...
Oh, there are lots of things for which they haven't got explanations.
So then how you separate that things from the paranormal? Because also the paranormal, they sometimes use these things to describe their powers. I have these powers because there are some quantum effects in...
Oh, yeah, well, they always use quantum. They don't know what a quantum means.
Yeah, exactly.
As a matter of fact, we use the term all the time, a quantum leap. Yeah. And that sounds like, it's the smallest possible leap. It's the very smallest possible leap. It's not a big, a quantum leap. And they picture that as something huge. No, it's the very smallest increment of movement or of change or whatever.
So you got guys like Deepak Chopra who uses all the scientific mumbo jumbo.
Mumbo jumbo. That's what it is.
And what he is selling kind of borders on paranormal,
Oh yes, very much.
You do this, you will.
Well, he's Ayurvedic for one thing, and he has the biles and humors in the body and everything. This is all medieval stuff from hundreds of years ago, and he depends on that, and he believes in it, and he preaches it. I have a standing offer with any journalist when they challenge me on Deepak Chopra. We'll go to any bookstore that you point out. We'll go in there and we'll see the Deepak Chopra books, which are, masses, hundreds of books. I hope he doesn't have to write all of them for a man, because he would never have a moment to himself. And he dyes his hair, by the way. He said he was never going to get old, remember? But I suspect he dyes his hair. I don't want that to be generally known. It would be so embarrassing. But in any case, I will tell the reporter, take any book from the shelf there by Deepak Chopra, turn to any page at random, and within 2 pages of either side of that double-page spread there, I will find you a scientific howler, a real laugh that flies in the face of everything known to logic and rationality presently that will be in that book, because Deepak Chopra is the most important living quack. There's no other way to put it. Because he's preaching things for which he has no evidence whatsoever, and he does it in a very smooth way, and it sounds good because he throws in the words vibrations very frequently, and quantum. And quantum vibrations are the worst kind. Yes, that's double force right there, you see. Okay. You don't want to stand in the way of a quantum vibration. It can kill you. You've got to be very careful.
I don't know if you have 5 minutes to. I would like interviewing for a project that I'm doing during the travel, to interviewing different persons during the travel. It's very short, like very global interview. Always I'm asking the same questions. So the first question is completely separate from that. But the first question is, which do you believe is the biggest problem of the world?
I think lack of education. We're living in a very highly technological society now, and you have to have some technical information going for you. If you don't, you just can't progress in the world. We've crippled ourselves by knowing too much, and if we don't know enough, we can't compete with other people. So the way around that is to obtain this information. But it's not easily available to everybody. Not everybody can afford an education or the right people that they cohabit with, or they mix with, or they have as friends and colleagues. That's an unfortunate thing. That is lack of knowledge, ignorance.
How this problem could be solved, hypothetically?
By better education. That's and you've got to specialize in your education too. If you want to be a plumber, now you can be a damn good plumber. but you've got to study. You've got to know what's happening, what is available in the way of materials and the engineering, the actual physics of the job, or you are just a pipe fitter, just someone who puts up pipes. Someone else tells you where to put the pipe. So education is not available to everybody, and education is not absorbable by everybody. Not everybody has the intellect to be able to absorb that. But I know people who are pipe installers, and they're very happy to. And I'm having some work done on my home right now, and I see a gentleman there soldering these pipes, very skilled. But he's not highly educated. He hardly speaks English at all, as a matter of fact. But damn, what he's doing there is well done, it's neat, it's secure, and he's very proud of what he does. So you don't have to be an intellectual giant in order to rank in society.
The next, there are like 3 levels of questions. The next is, in US, which do you think is the biggest problem nowadays?
Well, I'd have to stick with the same answer.
The same answer.
Yes, oh yes. We've got a vast population here, and we're supposed to be the leader of the world, and that is a very general term, of course. China's coming along. Stand back, watch China, because they're moving in. And that I expect that is going to happen. I suspect that China is going to become the dominant power on Earth. And I just hope that they do it in a kindly and humane fashion, because it could be a disaster. Well, again, we would recover from that disaster, too. Our species is very, very flexible. We've been through all these things before.
And the last level of questions is more personally. The question is, do you feel happy?
Oh, very.
And
look what I've just done now. I've just had a double heart bypass, colon cancer, chemotherapy, the whole thing. I'm 82 years of age. I always say I'm 82 going on 100. At least 100. I'm not ready yet. I mean, I'm not ready yet. Just in case. I don't know where I'm going, you see. But no, I feel very fortunate. I am very happy with what I've accomplished so far. But hey, I've got my 10th book being prepared right now. Here's part of the manuscript right here.
How could you be happier, if there is a way?
I would like to see more people as happy as I am, if possible. I would. I wish that, first of all, healthcare in this country, we're sadly deficient in that, universal healthcare. They do it very well in Canada, they do it around other parts of the world, and we haven't been able to manage it here in the United States of America, this most civilized country. We haven't been able to do that, and I think that's criminal. It's a serious, serious problem of not having universal healthcare and universal education available to everyone. Now, theoretically, it's available. But that's only theoretically. It doesn't work out in a practical sense. And there got to be more leaders who will inspire young people to get that education and to take a profession. And again, a pipe fitter is just as respectable as a politician or a medical doctor or any of the, on a different level. They can make a very happy life for themselves. It doesn't have to be something that has a note on the door.
The last question, which is the secret of happiness?
Secret of happiness, I think, and again, it can only be my personal opinion, is having the ability during your long life, having a long enough life to be able to return to society what was given to you. When I started out in show business, I struggled a great deal. I went hungry many days on end. I had a very hard time of it. But I never lost my spirit. I never lost my ambition. And while I was down there and I didn't have the right clothes, I didn't have food in my stomach, people would reach out of nowhere and help me. Not by giving me $5 or something like that, but by putting their arm around me and saying, let's go and do this, let's go and do that. That a couple of people bought me clothing from head to foot because they realized I was needy in that respect. And I have never forgotten that, and I have reached out of nowhere. In most cases, I'm proud to say, anonymously. And I have made sure, well, I support, I don't know how many it is now, I think it's 11 or maybe 12 children around the world through Plan USA. It's a charity. which has a very low margin of expense. And I've been with them since 1965, I think.
Uh-huh.
That's a long time.
Yes.
I think I'm one of their oldest subscribers, as a matter of fact, and I take great joy in it because I don't meet these young people, but they take it out of my bank account. It's only a few dollars for each one of them, mind you, and the whole family in whatever that country is benefits hugely from it. It's my favorite charity, and I find great satisfaction in that. And this group of people, the Planned USA, they take care of it for me. I really don't pay too much attention to it, frankly, but I know that it's a very good charity. I've seen their books, and I've seen their records, and I know a lot of them personally, and they're really very good people, so I trust my money with them.
Do those children write to you at all?
Oh, yes. Yeah. But it's prepared by the plan representatives there, of course, because many of them are little kids who can't quite manage that, but they tell me what the kid is doing and how the education is coming along. And I get regular reports. I've got a big thick file in the office there. Very, very satisfying. Very satisfying.
Last question. I'm going back a bit to the
We've had many last questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Which time is
No,
it?
no. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, please.
It's okay. Do you dream in a world without paranormal claims in the long future?
I would really be dreaming then. Because, the paranormal is with us and always will be with us. There'll always be naive people and people who are not really thinking or are not brave enough to think.
But you don't think, like, in 1 millennium, for example, 2 millenniums?
I'm not a prophet. So I can't tell that sort of thing. I would hope that we would get smarter, and I would be also hoping that religion, as I see it happening in my lifetime, I'm happy to see it, that the emphasis on religion is dropping more and more. People are getting more rational. I believe that religion is an irrational concept altogether. I sincerely believe that. I certainly agree that everybody should have the right to their own beliefs, absolute freedom of belief, as long as it doesn't interfere with me or with someone who's important to me. That's my only restriction on it.
Do you think that religion and paranormality claims are very mixed?
Oh, yes, very similar. Living forever in golden streets up in the sky. Yeah, that would sound paranormal to me. I think, oh yes, very closely allied. And it's mostly religious people who believe in paranormal events too, because they've been taught that these things do happen, that there are miracles out there that have no explanation, and so they just move it a little bit ahead to the real world.
May I ask a question?
I'll answer it, perhaps.
Okay. I've personally had this frustration where, in presenting a rational argument or evidence about whatever the discussion was, people with strong belief simply refuse to accept it.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Is that because they're irrational, or is the belief system itself really take over the mental process?
Oh, yeah. Well, remember, a religious belief, all of eternity, I'm going to die in another so many years.
I know,
or I'm going to live forever. Which would you prefer? You see, if their belief, if they think that if they don't believe that they're not going to live forever, or that they won't receive all these benefits for the rest of recorded time and such forever and ever, if they believe that way, then they greatly fear any doubt. They fear that doubting it will cause it to retreat from them. And they so desperately need it that no matter what the evidence is, and I've seen people just shake their head at me and they say, I know, you've got reason on your side and you've got all the logic and such, but I prefer to believe. I don't understand it because I want to face reality. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to stop working. I'm going to die. Dead, gone. But hey, I'll have my books, I should say.
Yeah, your influence will live on.
That gives me a certain amount of perseverance in the world, I think. And I also have the very pleasant feeling that sometime up in the future, and I think it'll happen more than once, that in a library, somewhere or another, or on a database, it'll be in a database, of course, someplace, someone will click in there, some kid, oh, what is this? Want to see more about that? Oh, really? Print that. And it'll be something that I wrote. And that kid will sit there and look at it and say, damn, maybe he's right. I'm going to think about this. That's all I want. That's my satisfaction. When I close my eyes for the last time, I'm going to smile thinking of that possibility. And it's going to happen. I'm convinced of it.
Yeah.
I will change somebody's mind who's not born yet, who's not even a ghost of a romance in the father or mother's eyes.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is great satisfaction. And
That would be.
it's something to look forward to. No, that means I have to be dead. This is not a very pleasant choice.
Yeah.
But that's my satisfaction. That's my legacy that I will leave to the world. That someone will pick up a book called Flim Flam and say, "What is this all about?" And open up at a page, and hey, someplace. If I could possibly exist, I'll just sigh and say, "Go," and that'll be great satisfaction.
Yeah.
Now I think it's time that I showed you a miracle of some kind, don't you?
Oh
think?
yeah, would be great. Do you want I stop the camera, or,
Oh,
you
no,
can
no,
hide the trick? You can hide the trick to the camera.
Don't look too careful. Well, what have I done for you in the past? Have I shown you any mentalism?
Metalism? No, you showed me the last day. You were showing how you pick up a word from a book to another.
Oh yes, all right. I've already done that. Then what else could we do here? Well, oh yeah, I could do it. All right. This is just a.
Can I take a picture while you are
Of course,
doing the
yes,
trick?
of course. This is what a extra fine pilot pen. All right. This is just a simple pilot pen. And you know Very Geller with his spoon bending. It would be bend
Yes,
spoon.
you are going to bend this pen.
What could be easier? What could be easier? All right, now this is just a simple little pen. It writes in blue, I believe. And as soon as you're ready,
Yeah.
all right. Roll up my sleeve. You'll see nothing there but a pair of skinny arms and a cheap wristwatch. Oh no, I don't have my wristwatch, so I don't even see that. All right, now let's just see if we can. You notice he's hoisting himself up here so you can see it. Now this is not very flexible. It's flexible to a certain degree, but not too much. You see? But
Oops.
it doesn't have to be flexible anyway because it's the hands that are flexible. You see. I don't know how that's done, and I don't care. You know, I have another one here that looks exactly like it, but you won't tell anybody about that one.
Very good. Well, really good. Okay, I'll try to. You have to do it again because I was not paying attention. I was put.
You see? You see? I said pay attention. Didn't I say pay attention?
Yeah.
I did. All right. Watch carefully now. Don't take your eyes off it. Oh, you lost it again. You weren't paying attention.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, click, 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 click. Oh, the lens hood is still on anyway. No, it isn't. Oh, I have another one here. He's looking exactly the same. Years of practice and self-denial. These will bend too, you know, if you really do it, but I can't do that. I used to be able to do it, but I don't do that anymore.
Really good.
So, I have to throw you out now.
Yeah. Let me try last moment to do a picture with flash. I don't know what's happening with.
Yeah, what
this.
happened with the flash there?
Yeah, let's try like this configuration. Well,
No, you don't see the one.
So
Well,
then,
maybe there's too much light in the room.
no, maybe too big flash. So perhaps
Yeah,
a
that
small
might be,
one.
yeah. There you go, you see.
Okay, another one.
Maybe the batteries weren't.
Can I take one with you?
Yeah, right. Well, okay. Oh, perhaps this book is nice one. Okay. Okay. So the newspaper will pick up the better one.
All right.
Okay, good.
That a good enough variety? Okay.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
You want to
You
take?
want to take a picture?
Okay, can he take us a
Of course.
picture with you?
But of course. All right.
Okay, I'm going.
There we go. Okay.
Right.
Very good. I'll take two
Thank you.
8x10s.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. My pleasure,
And
of course.
can your secretary give me this information of the Pamplona?
I have to get that for you. Let me just take a look at the computer. I'm sure I can find Javier Armentier. That's his name. Yes, I recall it. I'll find that for you.
Okay.